approved by the NPV, which we do have out in beta right now. And this actually has some pretty significant calculations that are in it. This was built completely off of the NPV spreadsheet, or the FDIC spreadsheet that they released out a few months ago, which you can download a copy of that. If you click here, it's going to actually download a copy of the FDIC spreadsheet to your hard drive. It'll take you out to their website and grab that for you. All right. Now, we also have, if we notice here, you got section 1, section 2. These are just markers so you can know which section in the spreadsheet you'd actually be looking at, because it's actually laid out in the same order as the spreadsheet. Now, the first tag that's here is the current Freddie Mac rate. Khafre actually goes to the Freddie Mac website and gives you what their current rate is for that day. So every time you open the file, it's going to give you what the current rate is, and which may have changed. And so today, when you're running NPV, it might be different than if you ran it 2 days ago, if Freddie Mac changed their rate. Program interest rate floor is set to 2%. This is the default. You do have the ability to change it. From our understanding, this is the interest rate floor pretty much across the board from the people that we've been talking to, but we have allowed this to be an editable field, so you can change that rate floor. Very, very important here, because there are a lot of calculations that check what that floor is and compare whether or not something works or not. Then you're going to say, which mortgage am I calculating NPV for? We're going to start off here with the first mortgage. I have an original loan amount that was input earlier. I have a date obtained of 8/4, original term of 360 months here, which if we look down here at remaining term, we have 287 months left on the term, and that is the 360 months minus how many months have passed since the mortgage was obtained. Now, your current interest rate and your original interest rate may have been different because it may have been an adjustable rate loan. This one might have started at, say, 4.5%. Most of this information you can get from the homeowner or from their loan docs or whatever it's going to be. And we're going to set this as if it was an interest-only loan from the get-go. We're going to say that this homeowner is currently 4 months past due. And there's a calculation that can be run here for the advances in escrow, but through a lot of research that we've done, we found out that was an incorrect calculation. The advances in escrow is a number that you will need to contact your lender or your homeowner's lender to find out how much in advances they've had on their escrow account. If they're 6 months behind, if they're 3 months behind, whatever that may be, and they will give you a hard number. So in this case, we're going to say that there's $3,500 in advance in escrow behind because we're 4 months behind, and so we probably missed quite a bit. I'm going to look at my payment. Because I have this set to an interest only, it's going to say current principal payment is 0 because it's interest only. And you're going to see here, because I'm 4 months behind, it's calculated what my past due interest is. And then it's run this calculation here, unpaid principal balance adjusted for past due interest in escrow. So what this is doing is it's calculating how much you have unpaid, which is $264,800. That's the balance that you have left. And then it's running calculations based on how many months you have remaining, how many months you're behind, taking this past due interest and adding it in there, and now it's telling you that you have a $276,000 UPB plus interest. So this is what's actually owed. Even though this is the balance that shows on the mortgage, all of your past due interest and everything is also then totaled in here, and this is what's actually owed and due on the property. So then we're going to go down. Now we've gone through the original mortgage information. Now we're going to go through the borrower status. So we're going to say we want to calculate using their gross income, their net income, or other. So we're going to start here with the gross income. I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. And every once in a while, if you notice that when you drop this down, it might not calculate what the income was off of the other screen. So if you click OK, it'll pull that in. So we have $6,708 worth of income. The monthly taxes and insurance on the property, we're going to say are, I believe we have that at about $400 a month or $450 a month. All right. Now at $450 a month, we're estimating that the current value of the property is $310,000. In that neighborhood, then there is no magic place to get these numbers. So this is part of the things that you guys need to figure out where that comes from. we're going to estimate that the appreciation value in this neighborhood is -5%, which is a pretty good safe number to use. And the REO stigma discount is 20%. Now what that means is that if the property were to go to REO, it's going to sell for 20% less because it's REO than if it had just gone regularly on the market. Now we have this set for the state of foreclosure, or the state of California, and based on the numbers that are here, once the foreclosure sale is won, after it goes into notice of sale, so it's 1 month after that, and then it takes an additional 6 months, according to the FDIC, for a property to sell at REO after foreclosure. So it's a total of 7 months that come up during that process. So it's going to cost the bank $6,790 in their foreclosure and disposition costs, as well as the interest that they're going to lose on that property for that period of time is another $4,500. And once you add in the REO stigma discount, the value of the property is $224,000, even though the current value is $310,000, just based off of the 20% stigma discount. It's really, they're willing to be able to sell it for $224,000. So you can see that the bank has a zero pure PV loss or present value loss immediately of $51,000 by going to REO over what the property is worth. So that's the first thing that they're going to be checking for and looking for is how much of a loss are we going to have going to REO. Then you're going to go to the cure rate. We're going to give it a 20% cure rate. And then that's going to run some new calculations again, and it's going to give a weighted loss. So out of these numbers, about 20% of the properties actually cure their mortgage, and so how do you calculate that in to the present value of the property? So with no cure, it's a $51,000 loss. If there is some cure in the area, then you're going to get a $40,000 loss. So it's a small benefit to the lender if there is a cure rate in that area. Affordable DTI level is set at a default of 31%. We're going into section 5, which is now the present value. This is going to be comparing the modification versus a short sale, and if they qualify for a mod or not qualify for a mod. Affordable DTI level is 31%. Modified payment is $1,629.58. And right here, it's going to tell you the modified payment is a payment increase. This homeowner is not eligible for a modification based off the 31%. Now, the way that this works is it looks at 31% of their income. So if their income's really, really high, doesn't matter what their payment is, it's going to change their payment to 31% of their income. That's the first thing it's going to test. So in this case, it's saying that it's an increase. But if we take if we change their income amounts or change the DTI ratios, so what is their current DTI? Minus 33. All right. So go back down to the DTI. Let's say we set this to a 55 DTI. And then recalculate. Payment increase again. I went the wrong direction, so let's go down to a 15% DTI. Now 15% DTI, you can see that the switch changed, and now it's going to show the payment. Since the payment did not go up, now they are eligible for a mod, and I'm going to go ahead and increase this to 25. And you can actually go through and play with the numbers and keep running the test until it comes up in the area that you want. All right. So we're going to use a 25% DTI, which gives a modified payment of $1,227.08. It's going to calculate using a whole bunch of calculations what the rates would be at 30-year term and 40-year term. And the way that those calculations work is it's going to look at the Freddie Mac current rate. It's going to look at the program interest rate floor, and then it runs a calculation to figure out how it's going to get to the 2.1% or 3.9% based on all those. Then it's going to go down. It's going to tell you what it's going to recommend the modified loan terms. So it's going to tell you that the unpaid principal balance for past due interest and escrow is now $276,000. This is the post-paid. This is the post-mod balance. Interest rate is going to be 2.1%. Modified payment is going to be $1,227.08. They're going to modify the loan term to 287 months. So they're going to change the loan term by a few months as well. Give you the full payment amount, And from the bank standpoint, they're going to have a reduced cash flow on this property of $29,493.80. So this here again is another test that is going to check for multiple different things of whether or not there should be a forbearance. If there is a forbearance amount, it's going to check and see if that forbearance amount is too great or too little, and it'll run a test. If the forbearance amount is too high, it'll say failed forbearance, too extensive. So it'll pop up a message here that says that it failed the forbearance test as well. Then you're going to go down and they're going to see that that's a cash flow. So okay, now we know what we're going to look like in a loan mod. So now we have to compare a loan mod directly to an REO. So we know that the redefault rate is, say, 15%. The average months to redefault is, say, 4 months. And the appreciation forecast now is still -5%. Now what it's done is it's gone and looked through what's the future interest and advanced escrow. So it's going to look at how much is behind. It's going to see that the bank has a present value estimated loss of $33,000, an REO value based off these new numbers of $219,000 post-mod. So the bank is, if they do a modification, they're going to lose $30,000, where if they do an REO, they're going to lose $33,000. So their total benefit, including the advanced escrow and the months behind, the bank actually makes $10,000 more by doing the mod than by doing the REO. So that's then going to run the NPV, and it's going to tell you that your NPV is a pass. Now this is a pass-fail test. If it fails, it's going to recommend a short sale at that point, because the bank would actually make more money short selling the property than trying to modify the loan on the property. So what this is really designed to do for those of you who do use the NPV programs is do a side-by-side comparison of whether the bank should modify or whether the bank should go to short sale or REO. And then it's going to show you what the payments are. This is what the estimated payment will be for the homeowner in these additional months throughout the whole piece of information. So we're going to click OK. We've gone through all of the calculations in NPV. Now we're going to go down to the document generation. This is what I skipped ahead to. Go to document generation. We're going to go to residential loan mod. And from residential loan mod, you're either going to have the ability to generate a document from your own branch. This might be your retainer agreement from the law firm or the modification backing company that you work with. You guys have your own documents here, and you are also all connected to a thing that we have called templates. So if you go to click the radio button that says generate a document from another branch, you'll notice that there are quite a few templates in here now. We are adding more as we go on. And so we're going to go ahead and today I'm going to print the FDIC NPV spreadsheet, and I'm going to print the HAMP RMA. So we'll start with the FDIC spreadsheet. And from the FDIC spreadsheet, the first thing you can do is run a checklist, and it's going to show you all of the different data that's going to be imported in. If you see anything in here in red or blue, that means it's missing. So there is nothing here in red or blue. So we have all the data that we need for this one. And then we're going to click process. And there we go. Again, that's an IE pop-up block there. So look for that to reload. We do recommend using Firefox, which I have loaded the other browser on. Wait for this to reload. And when we process that, it's going to pop up. And it'll pop up the FDIC spreadsheet in PDF. And it's going to open on my other screen, so I'll drag it over. And here's the FDIC spreadsheet. This is exactly what the spreadsheet looks like from the FDIC. You'll notice that when you download it, and it's going to input all of the numbers that you need that you can use for submission, or you can use for just trying to get the numbers you need together for the bank. A lot of folks are using this in a submission. We also have one of our premier law firms that use Khafre have are taking and putting together an actual report that's going to be available to everybody as a template that'll be able to be sent in with the bank. That's going to do all of this, all of the NPV comparisons, and actually write it up in a 5 or 6 page report for presentation to the bank for submission. So we will thank them for that once we get it, and we will let you all know when that's available.